It is episode 8 of the Robbie Fowler Podcast, brought to you by McDonald's McCafe. Great tasting coffee made simple. We've got one Liverpool legend in the shape of the man whose name adorns the title, Robbie Fowler. And you've delved back into that contact book of yours, Rob, and you've got another Liverpool legend.
Yeah, I've delivered here. Look, you know what, you just mentioned legend there. I think legend is used far too much in football nowadays. But this man is a bona fide legend. He is the... I think he's the epitome of legends. I mean, it's Mr. Ian Rush. He's a real good mate of mine. He's been wanting to come on for weeks, but we've actually fobbed him off a few times because we've had Jürgen and a strike partner on. But
I know my place.
Rushy, don't worry. You're any time. Don't worry about it. I knew you would come on for me because you're obviously a good friend of mine. But I mean, what was Chris was saying there? I think legend is used far too much. But you obviously are. I mean, the bee's knees.
Thanks for that, son.
We've got the same size noses, haven't we?
No comment.
I didn't have a sticker on mine over there.
Yeah, but I never used to underline mine.
Well, Ian, it's great to have you on the pod, and you're in Dubai. Dubai has become home for you in the last couple of months, and I want to start right there because Robbie and I have been talking about this. How on earth does one go about getting a gold visa that I know you've been bestowed upon in the last few weeks?
Well, I think basically I've been here since 24th of December and I was only supposed to be here for a week, but with what's going on and everything, and I'm working here with Liverpool Football Club. We're looking to open academies in this region. So when you know a few people and all that, and you've played football in the past, I think it's like everything in Dubai. They're looking for people to stay in the country, and they're looking for how to improve Dubai. And there's quite a lot of players, players that are actually getting the golden visa because they're putting something back into the country.
Rob, you need to get a flight to Dubai, pal.
I know, you're not wrong. I know. Hey, you just said it to yourself, Rushy, right? He knows. He just said himself. He knows a few people. He knows everyone. Honestly, he knows everyone, and he tells you nothing as well. He's like the secret squirrel.
I learned that from Kenny.
I think I should be like you then, because you learnt off Kenny, and I've obviously learnt. I'm going to learn off you, Tosh. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, well happy with that, lad. You've done it in the football, so why not do it off the pitch?
Yeah, I needed a few more goals. But to be fair, and I will talk about it in a bit though, I reckon if I played with Kenny, I'd have a lot more goals as well though. Yeah,
there's a chance of that. He didn't know where to put the ball, didn't he? So, But I was a bit quick there, Rob.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I've got none.
We will get to Kenny, boys. We will get to Kenny. I want to talk about your relationship, because is it fair to say, Rob, that Ian was a mentor, not a bit of a mentor, he was a mentor of yours when you were coming through?
Without a shadow. I think this is one of the good things with Liverpool. I think when you are coming through and a system and a setup, and you always have obviously unbelievable players in front of you, and that player in front of you was the one who was, I mean, I don't think it was a club thing. I think it was just a player person or a person himself. They sort of just integrate you into what they do and what they want you to do. So, I mean, for example, Rushy was just outstanding with me, and he'd take me on the side of a pitch, and he'd teach me how to run. That sounds stupid, teaching how to run as a striker, because you think, oh well, how do you run with a straight back? As a striker, it's all about how you bend your runs and you time your runs, so where you think the ball's going to be, and obviously Rushy was the master of that. We hear it all the time about Rushy, which is obviously the first line of the defence was when Rushy was attacking really, and he was just a master at it. And as much as he'd get you on the side, he'd help you with all the little fundamentals of being this striker. As I said, where to run, how to run, where you should be, when you should be there. But also watching them on the training pitch as well. I think if you come off a training session and you didn't learn anything, then I think football wasn't for you, or being a striker wasn't for you, because he had everything in his locker. He really, really did. He was an incredible player, and he was an incredible mentor, to be fair, because just for what he did for me. Now, people will think, maybe you, and Rushy will, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but Rushy was maybe coming towards the end of his career, and people can be mistaken and thinking, well, listen, I'm not bothered about you, I've had my time. but it couldn't have been further from the truth. You know, Rushy was very instrumental in all the good that I done, because he wanted obviously Liverpool to develop, and he wanted obviously the club to still be in good hands, and took me under his wing, and kept on at me all the time. You know, we did play a good few years together, and we've become good mates, and you know, hopefully, you know, I did to other players what Rushy did to me, because he was outstanding and incredible for me.
That's a lovely eulogy, I guess, in a lot of ways, Rushy. And again, right back at you, Rushy. What do you remember of Robbie as a wee nipper?
Rushy, before you start here, though, right, bear in mind, you've got to give me a few quid for us saying all those nice things. So, depending on what you say about me, I might repay the favour here.
No, I think, funny enough, the first time I've seen Robbie play was when, I don't know if he knows, is when he's about 14, 15 years old. And because Steve Highway was in charge then, and before pre-season started, obviously being Welsh, we never qualified for the World Cup or the Euros, so I had about 6 weeks off. So about a week before the first team went back to training, I would go and train with the kids and everything. And I remember going there once, and Steve Highway said to me, "Have a look at this lad." You know, we had a game. I think Robbie scored about 6 goals in about 20 minutes. You know, and I got in there, and Steve Highway said, "See, I think we've got something special here." And you could tell straight away when he's 14, 15, in the training he was doing, the movements. And the thing I liked about him is that he kicked with both feet, and I think that's a massive thing. Where we all say, he's got a great left foot there, but Robbie could score with his right foot as well, and also his head. But I think you can kick with both feet. I think it's a massive difference, and that's what I noticed about Robbie when he was 14, 15. And obviously when Suey gave him the chance to get into the first team, it was amazing. All I done is what Kenny Dalglish taught me. Because when I got first in the team, I was running round everywhere and all that. And Kenny said, "No, your job is to score goals. Just score goals." And Kenny was doing sort of my running early on. And when I started scoring goals, he said, "Now you can help me develop it. You can do," as Kenny was getting older, he said, "You can help me do my running for me now." So, and it's the same as Robbie, when he got in the first team, his job is just to score goals. Because as a striker, if you don't score goals, you're actually, you lose your confidence. And I think it's really getting his confidence through that. And I say, as I was getting older, I needed Robbie to do my running as well. And that's what we've done. That's why we complemented each other so well. I just learned it from Kenny when I was playing.
I read somewhere, Ian, and it's interesting you mentioned that I think you joined Liverpool in 80. I think you went 5 months before you got your debut, and then 7 games I think you went without a goal. And that was what Bob said to you, right? Get more selfish. If you're going to be a success here, become more selfish. Yeah,
it was quite funny because I think I played 7 games and I hadn't scored a goal. So the more experienced lads then go back for pre-season, say, "Oh, you deserve a rise. You know, you're the first team player now. You deserve a rise." And like me, most probably an idiot, went into knocked on Bob's door and said, "I need a rise." And he said, "Why?" I said, "I'm in first team player now." And he just turned around and said, "How many goals have you scored?" I went, "None." So we had this argument, and he said, "Put me on the transfer list then." And Bob said, "Okay, you're on the transfer list." So I went out playing, because Bob just said to me, "You haven't scored goals. Strikers need to score goals. You need to be more greedy." So I went out playing for Liverpool to get away from Liverpool, because at the team there, the Crystal Palace, they were the team of the 80s with Terry Venables and all that, and they were looking at me. So in a way, I was going out to play to get away from Liverpool. And lucky enough, it was a European Cup game when I think we were playing a Finnish team, Ulu Passarala or something, and we were 6-0 up, and I think Bob decided it was okay to put me on with about 20 minutes to go. And he put me on, and I scored my first goal for Liverpool in the European Cup. And luckily, I think David Johnson got injured, and I played against Exeter City in the League Cup then. We won 5-0, I scored 2 goals. Then we played the league game, Leeds United, on the Saturday. No, we won 3-0. I scored 2 goals. And again on the following Wednesday, we played Exeter in the set. It was early on, so we played the moment away then, and we beat Exeter City 5-0 again. And I scored 2. And so I scored 7 goals in the space of 3 games. So I get the confidence, but I was playing to get away from Liverpool. And I'll never forget when I went in, Bob Paisley pulls me in about 2 months after and says, "I'm going to give you that rise now because you deserve it." And I said to him, "Does that mean I'm off the transfer list?" He said, you were never even on it. You know, they talk about psychology now, but Bob Paisley was doing that. No, they were 20, 30 years ahead of the time.
Brilliant. Tosh, you know when you, I said I've just called him his nickname there, the people, Tosh, you know when obviously you made your debut, so did you make your league debut against Ipswich?
Yes, it was away, Ipswich away, yeah.
Right, and obviously you're synonymous with wearing the number 9 shirt for Liverpool, aren't you? So just a quick question right for you. So Kenny wore the 7 shirt for Liverpool the longest. You wore the 9 shirt. Who wore the number 8 shirt for Liverpool the longest?
Sammy Lee or Gerrard?
Sammy Lee. Sammy Lee was the answer. Hey, down to his knees.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story there. That's why I knew Sammy played number 8, because I made my debut with David Johnson. I made my debut wearing a number 7 shirt. Yeah, and David Johnson got injured after 20 minutes. So Bob Paisley put Sammy Lee to play up front with me.
Wow.
That's
the little and large? Little and large?
Tosh and Keegan, like Ross and Lee.
That's why I was scared at that, because I knew you wore the number 7 actually for your first league game, and that's just absolute mental when you think obviously your career, you was obviously always this number 9, and your first game was a 7. Yeah,
it was number 7, but I must have done that well, because I wasn't seen for 5 months after that game.
Well, to be fair, you made up for it though.
Yeah, and it's like a bit of luck, and I'm a great believer. Tell someone once, you tell them twice. If you tell them 3 times, you might as well tell them 33, because they're not going to grasp it.
Yeah.
You know, and I was lucky enough to get a second chance at Liverpool, and that was the League Cup final replay. Again, I think David Johnson was injured. Steve Highway was injured. I think Graham Souness was injured. There was that many injuries that Bob had to play me. You know, and he played me at the game against West Ham in the League Cup final replay, and I was up for it. Right, I'd done everything but score, hit the post, hit the bar, but I had a really good game, you know. And I remember Bob Paisley saying, if you can do it once, you can do it every week. So that gave me the confidence to go on and do really well.
Tosh, where do you stand on obviously when you're coming through football? So people always talk about natural ability, and you know, you've got this natural ability to score goals. Can you be born as a natural born striker, or do you develop that?
You develop it, but you have something. I think it's the instinct for goal, and you know, this is what I tell people. You know, you are born with something, but you've got to learn from it. And if you don't learn from it, like I'm saying, you're not going to make an £80 million player into a £160 million player. But I'm a great believer you can make a £5 million player into a £10 million player. You know, and that's all by strike. It's all about confidence, and that's what it's all about. I was a striker coach with Gerard Houllier. I just go once a week, and you can see straight away, it's a confidence. It's a confidence about hitting the back of the net. And as you say, you never get tired. When you see the ball at the back of the net, you never get tired as a striker. You want it more and more. And that's what it's all about. And when you see the fans, with the smiles on the faces when you score a goal, you want to score another one for them. And that's what it's all about. And it's getting the confidence to do that. And I'm one of them when like, for example, if there's a corner, I look at people now, they're pushing each other, they're running round and everything before the ball's kicked. And I never used to do that. I used to, just before he took the corner, with his foot back, I would make my move there, thinking I would anticipate where I thought the ball was going to go. So I think that's something that you are maybe born with. I think you had it exactly yourself, because you're thinking quicker than the opposition. Because when you start moving in, I think 9 times out of 10, you'll see defenders, they're standing still. And they go, how did he get through? Because you're using your football brain to anticipate where the ball's going to go. And that's what I did. And that's certainly, you had that as well, Rob.
Well, you've just mentioned the football brain there. So I'm a big believer in, obviously, the practice makes perfect, ethos and mentality, because, if you do the same thing over and over again, the monotony of doing it over again, it becomes like sort of ingrained in you, and like your memory sort of just knows what to do then. And your body knows where it's going to go. I just think that's the case. But certainly as a striker, if you do the monotony of doing the same things over again, then it becomes second nature. So I think you are obviously born with something, but I think you're right where it takes years and years of honing these specific skills to sort of bring out the best. But the more you do it, the more the easier it becomes. So that's why people, I think, say, it looks natural.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think especially at an early age, you get good coach coming at an early age. And what I used to do when I had soccer schools and all that, I used to say to the kids, just long as you learn one thing from the session. But what you've got to do then is go out there and practice it. So when you come back next time, you're doing it naturally. Then you learn something else. And I think if you can get that at an early age, I think that's where you go on to be proper players.
Talk about that. And Rob, I know we've spoken about this with Graham Souness, and he was the first to admit that Bob and what you guys were doing, hardly revolutionary. Bob didn't have much time for tactics. He had a great understanding of the game, not the most tactical. So what were you doing on a daily basis to hone that skills? Because it clearly worked, whatever you guys were doing.
Well, really, I think Suey was right. I think Bob Paisley, he wasn't a tactician, but I think what they learn now. I think we all, like I say, go back to the football brain again. I think we all went to Liverpool. We all had a football brain. So Bob Paisley would say something, but no one understood it, but we knew what he meant. That's how weird it was, And but I think now in the new era, I look at Robbie. I say Robbie's most probably one of maybe the last of the old school, which when the sort of new school come in, and the new school come in when you look at the Redknaps, the Hutchinsons, Robbie's mate Macca, and all them. Some of these, apart from Macca, a lot of these needed to be told, and that's the difference. They needed to be told what to do. And that was the difference how we went along with, especially when Graham was there, because Graham virtually said, these young ones are the best and the older ones are not so good now. But they weren't winning games, so then he had to change and say the older ones are the best and the younger ones are not so good. So I think if you ask Suey now, he'll tell you he most probably tried to change things too quickly. And he lost the both camps. He lost the young camp and he lost the old camp. And that's in the end, eventually lost his job. But I think if Graham Souness went to be a manager now, I think he'd be right up there with Jurgen Klopp and Guardiola, because I think he learned so much where you could win the league in Rangers pretty easy, in Scotland. But when you come down to England, it's as Suey found, it's a lot more difficult.
One of the things I think, Tosh, as well, so, I mean, you just mentioned about, obviously, Suey, where he tried to change things too quickly. Because he'd been over in Italy, and because obviously the way of life, and obviously we'll talk to you about Italy in a sec, but the way of life over in Italy was probably far more professional than it was in the UK. I mean, the way the players looked after themselves, the stuff they put in their bodies, the drink, the food, everything was more professional. Obviously, Suey came back into the UK from Sampdoria, and all of a sudden the players were all eating pasta and having the isotonic drinks, the energy drinks. Whereas before that, and you just mentioned I was old school. I mean, I'd watched the likes of yous. I'm not saying that you've done it at the wrong time, but your era and certainly my era, we went out and had a drink. Now, I'm not saying it was the wrong thing, because at the right time, yous were winning everything, and yous were by far the best team, by far the best players. This is one of the things probably I struggled with. My relationship with obviously Gerard Houllier, God rest his soul, was probably. I mean, it was not unbelievable, because he wanted me to do all the professional stuff, i.e. the right stuff in your bodies, and drinking the right stuff. You can't drink, you can't do this. And I'll be honest with you, I wished I'd have known then what I know now, because I'd have changed my game and I'd have changed my mentality. But I used to look at all yous and think, well, Liverpool have won everything. Ian Rush has scored loads of goals, and he does it. So why can't I do it? So I couldn't really get my head round. I couldn't get my head round that.
I think you always get away with things when you're winning. It's when you're not winning, people start asking questions then. And I think we went out for a drink, because we called it team spirit. That's what it was all about. We said, and when you've had a few drinks now, some people would tell the truth, where maybe in the dressing room they wouldn't say it. So a lot of that was down to that. But you're right there. I think Suey had all the right things. He had he's getting flip flops on people. You've got to wear these, and I had the same in Italy, so I knew what to do. And I think with Graham, he had all the right ideas, and I think that's what I'm saying today. They're all doing it today. What Suey tried to put in how many years ago. So he was on the right lines, and Gerard Houllier comes along, and he brought European football to Liverpool eventually, and he changed everything. And it was no surprise that when Gerard won so many European trophies.
When you went to Italy, Ian, I guess, and Robbie's already alluded to it, you joined Juventus. The biggest culture shock there. Talk us maybe through about how the move came about first and foremost, and then setting foot in Italy. What was the biggest thing that you thought, what on earth am I doing here?
And also, Tosh, you should also put that you should also put to rest. I think it was one of the old Liverpool players when you moved over to Italy. So one of the dressing room folklores was it's like living in a different country. So you can put that to bed as well.
I'll put that there, but it'll take me half an hour up some easy to say yeah. No, but the thing about that well, there's so many things you can talk about there. But talk about going when I signed for Juventus. Really, it was after the '86 FA Cup final, and Juventus wanted to speak to me, and it was at the end of the season, and I was in London, and I met with the officials of Juventus, and he was trying to get me to sign, on the day, and I said, look, I'm only come here to talk to you. I'm not come here to sign for Juventus. He went, well, Mr. Agnelli, Gianni Agnelli, who owned Juventus, Fiat, Ferrari. He said he's at an art gallery with the Queen. He said he's going to be here in 30 minutes, and he's expecting you to sign. And I'm not going to swear. I said, on certain terms, I told him where to go, and I didn't realise how big Gianni Agnelli was. He was absolutely amazing. So we had this chat, and he said,
Tosh, please tell me he turned up with the Queen.
With the dogs as well. No, but I think it was one of them, and he come and he said, I will get you to sign for Juventus. And we were in more talks, and eventually I think Liverpool agreed with a fee with Juventus. And I went to Juventus, and there was only 2 foreign players allowed at the time, and Juventus had Michael Laudrup and Michel Platini. And they wanted me to go to Lazio, and I said, I'm not going to, unless I go to Juventus, I'm staying at Liverpool for a year. Otherwise, so we agreed that for me to stay at Liverpool for another year. So when I went to Juventus the year after, there's a great saying, because they were still only allowed 2 foreign players at the time, and Michel Platini came training with us on the first day, and he said, you've come to the right team at the wrong time. And I said, why is that? And Michel Platini said, because I'm retiring. He retired, so basically I said, oh, thanks a lot for that. So as myself and Laudrup were in the 2 foreign players allowed at Juventus. And looking back now, if I went to Italy now, I would say, yes, I'm Ian Rush, Juventus, I'm the best player in the world. Because it's all about first impressions in Italy. It was the Maradona of Napoli, the Rudollet of Milan, Mateus of Inter. So, but I was thinking to myself, imagine me going, Rob, imagine going in the Liverpool dressing room and saying, oh, I'm Robbie Fowler, I'm the best player in the world. They'd just look at you and say, okay, let's see how good you are, wouldn't they?
Yeah. You get absolutely mullered. You go back in the dressing room and your clothes wouldn't be there, would they?
That's what I mean. It's absolutely unbelievable. So I think that was the mentality. And I didn't realise till after about 6 or 7 months in Italy what the mentality was like. Like, even, for example, obviously, it took me about 6 or 7 months to learn a bit of Italian. And then you didn't have player liaisons officers in them days. You had to look after yourself. And it sounds so stupid, but I had to go into a bank in Italy. They couldn't speak English. I couldn't speak Italian. And I had to open a bank account. I'm concentrating.
How do you open a bank account? By saying spaghetti carbonara.
Ciao, bella. But that's one thing. And I think at Liverpool, they just say, you concentrate on playing and leave the rest to us. But I was most probably taken onto the pitch. My frustrations off the pitch rather than most probably taking them on the pitch. So, and it was difficult. They played different to the way I played. Because I remember once, if I was playing for Liverpool, for example, I would be the first line of defence. So if the ball was going to the left back and I knew it was going on his right foot, I would close him down, because I know maybe on his right foot he's not as strong. I know he'd see me at the corner of his eye running at him. So if you can make a mistake, then Dalglish would press, Souness would press, and Anson would press. So we'd all go together. We'd all be in there together. So I remember doing it once for Italy when I was in Juventus. I'd seen it going to the left back on his right foot, and he just hoofed it over my head. I turned round thinking, oh, right, we're back in play now. the other 10 players were in their own half. So I'm looking at this. So at the end of the game, I went to the manager, it was Rino Marchese, who was manager there, and said, listen, this is how I play. If I go, you've got to come with me, or not everyone's got to go together. He said, oh no, it's easier for one person to adapt rather than 10 to adapt. And then football became boring to me because I wasn't closing down till I got till the halfway line. So it got boring to me, and I was losing concentration. And things like that. That's why I was so happy that I came back to Liverpool.
Tosh, just with obviously with people who don't know, obviously your spell at Juventus, but it was quite fruitful in terms of goals as well, wasn't it? You did score a few goals.
I scored 14 goals, and I was used to scoring 30, 40 for Liverpool. So for me, my first season, I thought I'd done all right. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Rudy Voller was it that first season. He scored 3 goals. And the top goal scorer was obviously Diego Maradona. I think he scored 21 goals. And most probably 18 of them would be fantastic free kicks, wouldn't they? Because he was unbelievable. So I was quite happy with the... and we had 7 new players when I came as well. People forget about that. We had 7 new players signed for Juventus, and so it took time for us all to adapt together. So I was reasonably happy with the amount of goals I scored in Italy.
Ian, how good was Michael Laudrup? I've heard the stories that when he took charge at Swansea, he was still the best player at training.
Yeah, without doubt. I played with some great players, and skillful wide. Not skill like you got Dalglish, you got Barnes, you got Moby, and all that. And but Michael Laudrup. People ask me the most skillful. I would absolutely say Michael Laudrup because he could do anything with the ball. He was absolutely unbelievable. He was. When in training we used to have when you have, as Rob, you have the circle round like the things that Laudrup done there was absolutely amazing. Yeah. So imagine him being, if he's at Swansea, he most probably would have been the best player.
Tosh, so obviously you're at Juventus and you've scored the goals, and how did the move back to Liverpool materialise? And I did hear a rumour that you almost signed for someone else.
Well, tell you what happened. I'm just at home one night and the phone rings, and he goes, he said it was Alex Ferguson. No, Sir Alex is on the phone. So I answered, yeah. He said, I'd like you to sign for Manchester United. I went, yeah, but I'm not for sale. He went, yes, you are. So I put the phone down, picked up, about another half an hour later, it was Colin Harvey, who's manager at Everton. He rings me, says, no, I want you to sign for Everton. I said, great, I know you support Everton as a kid, Colin, but I'm not for sale. He goes, you are. So, and after that, Suey rang me. He's at Rangers. He says, I want you to sign for Rangers. I said, Suey, I'm not for sale. He said, yes, you are. So after the 4th time, I realised I must have been for sale. The
4th time it was, Tosh, it's me, Kenny, you soft bastard.
Well, that's amazing. About 9 o'clock at night, then I got the call from Kenny. See you, Jimmy. It's Kenny on the phone. So he said, listen, I've got you on the 7 o'clock flight in the morning. He said, you're coming back and you're signing for us.
He didn't even ask you, did he? He just told you?
No, I'm telling you, he didn't even ask me, he told me. He said, I've got you on the 7 o'clock flight in the morning. I will meet you at Manchester Airport. And he said, and I'll pick up and you're signing for us. And I was so happy. When I come back, I didn't even talk about terms. I was just so happy to get the second chance to come back to Liverpool. Because, and you'll know as well, because you came back, but sometimes when you leave there, you realise grass is not always green on the other side. And I was missing the dressing room banter with the lads. We didn't have that in Juventus. They were quite serious. When I was missing the everyday dressing room banter. So to get the chance to come back to Liverpool was a no-brainer for me. Absolute no-brainer. I was just so happy to get back.
Brilliant.
Ian, did you phone Fergie? Did you phone Colin? Did you phone Sooney and say, guys, I'm off to Liverpool? Did you give Fergie his due? Man United come in for you, and you choose to go back to Liverpool.
Well, yeah, I did choose back, and no, I didn't get back to him because Kenny just said, listen, I just done what Kenny said. It was one of them, like, Kenny said, don't worry, don't speak to anyone, I'm doing that, you're signing for us, and I just done that. So it was, looking back now, when they did ring, it was, I think it was, I could look back and say, I had the chance to play, Manchester United, Everton, Rangers, and there was also Uli Younes from Bayern Munich. He tried to sign me because Mark Hughes was there as well. So I had for all them to want me to sign. It gave me the confidence to say, I've still got it in me.
Tosh, what you just say there about them obviously trying to sign you? You've just mentioned obviously Mark Hughes at Bayern Munich, but when you went to Juventus, Mark Hughes was over in Barcelona. Did Barcelona come in for you?
Yes, they did. Yes, they tried to. Mark Hughes on the phone again. Terry Venables was manager of Barcelona at the time, and they tried to sign me, but I'd agreed to go. I think Barcelona offered more money, to tell you the truth, as well. But I'd agreed to go to Juventus, and if I've agreed to go somewhere, I will go there. I'll load them to my word. If I've agreed to go somewhere, I'll do that. So, yeah, they offered more money in Barcelona there. Then, funny enough, after I turned Barcelona down, they signed Gary Lineker.
So Gary's got his career to thank for essentially ending up in Barca. I want to ask you as well, give us an insight, Ian. You talk about, and I think it's well documented, and you've said it in previous interviews, whereby you and Kenny had this telepathic relationship on the field. You didn't work at it, it just seemed to work. Off the field, yeah, you were mates, but you didn't socialise. He had his golf, you had your kind of different passions. What was it like then going back with Kenny Dalglish as your boss?
Oh, he was brilliant, Kenny. I think the hardest thing was getting called from Kenny to boss. And that's where people like Ronnie Moran, Roy Evans, they were brilliant because they say, listen, you got to call him boss now. You got to call him boss. But Kenny was, he was absolutely fantastic. But when he was ruthless, oh, believe me, he was ruthless. He had it in him to do. He knew when to, like on a Friday, he'd be all nice and that, but on the match day and all that, he would be really serious. And if you weren't going through your paces, he'd make sure he'd let you know. Even in training, if you weren't doing the training, Kenny would pull you, say, listen, you need to sort yourself out. So, I thought he was a fantastic, the best player ever for me, for Liverpool. But people forget again what he'd done as a manager. Player manager to do the double in his first year. That was unbelievable. He knew. I remember talking to Paul Walsh. He said, so Kenny brought himself back for Walshy for the FA Cup final. So Walshy pulled me. He said, I played 21 games on a run. I think Walshy scored 18 goals. He said, and he still dropped me. And Walshy said, but I can't complain because Kenny's better than me. And it seemed to work. He knew what to do, Kenny did.
Tosh, what was Kenny like? Look, we've said to him as a player, there's probably no one better. How was he as a manager in terms of his tactical nous? Did he... I've obviously been ingrained with the Liverpool way, so when I was coming in, it was mainly five-a-sides and a little bit of tactical, but not like over-reliance on tactical. It was more the emphasis on what we were doing. Was Kenny similar? Was Kenny tactical nous on the opposition superb? Was his analysis just on what we can do as a team?
I think what we could do as a team. He very rarely brought the opposition into it, but it was for himself. So Kenny was he didn't want to go too much information on the opposition because you think if they're that good, you start panicking. But Kenny always took the opposition himself. So he knew what their strengths were. So it'd come to the individuals and not say, oh, he's great on his left foot and all that. It'd put little things into your head. So he'd do it more individually rather as a team all round because he kept saying, no, we are the best team. Why do we talk about the opposition? But I know deep down, Kenny would have all the information on the opposition. And
you knew that come game day, you were prepped and you were obviously the best prep you could be, that everything was looked after. You just had to go out there and perform.
Yeah. That's what Kenny was the best at. For me, he'd take all the players' problems and put it on himself. And that's some doing, by the way. When you got maybe 20 odd players, and he said, "This, you just go out there and play. Leave the rest to me. Any problems, tell me. I will sort it out." For me, that's what made Kenny Dalglish different as well, because he say, "Listen, just go and play." I said, "I've got this problem." He said, "Oh, leave that to me, I'll sort it out." And 99%, Kenny would sort it out anyway. So all he said, just go and produce on the pitch, and that's what we did.
Does Kenny know more people than you, Tosh?
I think he does now, but it's like, Rob, you never stop learning. That's what I told you.
When the day came, Ian, that you were told, and I guess, what was it? Stan came in, right? You were breaking through, Rob. Stan came in, big money from Nottingham Forest. And I'm right in saying, Ian, you started that campaign as Stan's partner, right?
Yeah, I remember there was the talk. Well, I think they paid $8.5 million for Stan. So obviously you're thinking he's going to be the one. No, go straight in the side. And then we got myself and Robbie, really 3 fighting for 2 places. So I just put my head down and said, I'll try my best. I'm more experienced, but let's help as a team. And so basically I think Robbie might have been on the bench to start off with, but for me, I got to a stage where at the end of that season, when Robbie and Stan, they were scoring for fun, by the way. Them two, Robbie and Stan, they were scoring for fun. So I looked and went, I'm not going to get in this with them two. I'm not going to get in there. I'm getting old a bit now. I'm not going to get inside. Look at that, how good them two were playing. So I went to see Roy Evans. Say, listen, you're fine now. You got 2 absolute top quality strikers. Ever wanted me to stay for another year, but for me, I couldn't sit on the bench. I was getting, I was 30, 35, 36. I'm thinking, no, I just want to go and play and enjoy my football. I would not be enjoying my football sitting on the bench. So I said to everyone, no, I just want to go to someone who wants me. I can play football and enjoy the twilight of my career. So I left to go to Leeds. Howard Wilkinson come in for me. I went to go to Leeds, which, that's another, for me, I was really happy to go there. So, but for me, I left Liverpool knowing that they were in safe hands with Robbie Fowler and Stan Collymore. Because, believe me, that year now, them two were scoring for fun. And no matter who they are, that season, whatever, no one would have got in ahead of them. They were both on fire.
And Rob, you've said previously to me on this particular podcast, Stan was probably, in terms of yin and yang, in terms of a strike partner, he was probably the best that you had in your career, right?
In terms of partnerships, yes, and again, look, to sound stupid because obviously we have the master here with us, but Stan wasn't the best player I ever played with, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean, he was my best partner because that was when I scored my most goals. Rushy will tell you his best partner is Kenny because of the amount of goals he scored. So when you have some relationship on a pitch and you score your most goals, that's your most fruitful, then of course you're going to enjoy that and you're going to love it. And that's not to say, I love playing with Rushy for what he is and the type of person he is, the type of player. But I scored more goals with Stan. So I think it's just maybe understandable why I would say he was my best partner. But again, he wasn't the best player I played with. Because obviously I played with Rushy. I mean, Rushy just mentioned a few players there I played with. The likes of Barnsley, the likes of Jan Mulby, Steve McManaman, all these great players. But Stan Collymore and myself had a great understanding on the pitch. Off the pitch, we didn't really socialise. When I found out what he was getting up to years in life, I wished we had socialised. But he was. I mean, Stan, Rushy just spoke about him there. He was a tremendous player, and on his day, I mean, he was practically untouchable when he wanted to do it. He was some player.
Yeah, and again, give me your appraisal on him, Rushy, because he had it all. I remember when Liverpool got him, I thought, that's a bit of a game changer because he was physical. He could score from with both feet. I think on his debut was it Sheffield Wednesday?
Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah.
I mean, he was electric.
He was unbelievable. And as you say, it was his build and everything. He could kick with both feet. It was similar to Ronaldo. The first time Brazilian Ronaldo. The build and he had everything. So I think most probably looking back now, Stan could have done a lot more. But then it comes down to the mentality, that mental toughness. That's what's needed that's the difference between a good player and a great player. You have to have that mental toughness, and if you got that mental toughness in you, you'll go a long way.
Stan moves on. Well, I say Stan moves on. He did later. You moved on, Ian. Leeds United, another massive club. And it's amazing, the two of you, the synergy that you had. Of course, Rob, you would later leave Liverpool and join Leeds. Another massive club. Your year there, Ian, when you look back on it now, and obviously you've had time to reflect on it, how do you look back on that 12 months at Leeds United?
Well, the reason why I went to Leeds United, I had a good chat with Howard Wilkinson, and he said... I signed a 2-year contract with Leeds United. He said, what I want to do, after the 2 years, I want you to become manager. And Howard was going to go upstairs. And that's the reason why I went to Leeds United, because Reedy tried to sign me for Sunderland and a couple of others. But the only reason I went to Leeds United was because of that reason. And lo and behold, after
Tosh, has any club not tried to sign you?
Yeah, the Sunday League team. But that's what I mean. But I think, like, funny enough, I was thinking, I'm going to be here for 2 years, and if Howard goes upstairs, I'm going to take over as manager. That'd be great. After 3 months, Howard gets a sack, doesn't he? So I'm thinking, what's going to happen here? And they sold the club. So the new Leeds sold the club. So the new owners were from London or whatever thing, and they bring in George Graham. And George Graham, I think there was 5 of us. He gets us all in and he said, listen, you saw Thomas Brolin, Thomas Yeboah, myself, Carlton Palmer, and I think maybe Tony DeRigo. I'm not sure of them all. Yes, and said, I want you all to leave. And we said, why? He said, because you're all on more money than me. So I'm thinking, so he was looking to cost cut and all that. So from then on, I wasn't going to get on with George. I knew that straight from the start, where he started playing me on the right wing. You know, he said he's changed my position. He put me wide right, and things weren't going right. And you know, and for me, it was just not. I wasn't enjoying it. And what I had to deal with Howard Wilkinson was, I think I only had to train once a week at Leeds United. But when Howard was there, I trained every day. So when I started, when George came and started, putting pressure on me to move on somewhere else, I decided to take my clause up in that contract. So I was only going in 1 day a week, and that was. I wanted to train every day, but I thought there's a good way and of parting ways. So when I survived to the end of the season, then George said, I'd look at you if I'd find another club. So I done pre-season. He said, well, you come back pre-season here, you've got to be training with the kids. So there's like Carlton, Thomas Brolin, Tony Yeboah and myself. We were training with the kids. So he didn't send us on the pre-season tour. And again, there's only one maestro that comes in, isn't it? You know, the king comes in again and says, I want you to sign for Newcastle. So that's another one, Rob, another sign in Newcastle.
Tosh, just before you go back to Kenny with Newcastle, you know, when you're obviously playing for Leeds and Howard Wilkinson, and we know what type of manager he is. What was George Graham like for you? Because you've just talked before about your exploits in Italy and the way the teams played over there. They were defensively minded. You wouldn't have enjoyed playing under George Graham if that was his philosophy. Because we all know the saying. It was obviously 1-0 to the Arsenal with George Graham's team. You couldn't have enjoyed playing under him anyway, could you?
No, I think he likes people that work hard. So I was working hard. The reason why Howard as well, because Howard was different to me. Howard was tactical and all that, and I wanted to learn a bit about that. Because like you say, not very much at Liverpool, we learned about the tactical side. So when Howard was doing his tactical, I thought, that's interesting. Howard was talking about the opposition like it is today and all that. So I thought technically Howard was brilliant. All that, so I want to learn that. Then George came in, and all George had, you can see George with his back four, wouldn't he? Holding hands together, going from like side to side and all that. So, and he never really, on the striker's point of view, he didn't have a lot to do that way. He's thinking, leave one of them. One of them's going to score a goal, but we're going to defend. So it wasn't. And I was playing in right midfield. And he's saying you don't have to play if you don't want to, but I'm playing for Leeds. I'm under contract for Leeds. I want to play. I'd play if he said play right back. I'd have played right back. So from that, but no, I most probably wouldn't have enjoyed my football under George.
And then obviously, sorry, Chris, but then obviously you go to Newcastle, Tosh, and back to Kenny. One of the games I remember, obviously yourself at Newcastle was scoring the winner against Everton in the FA Cup. I know you have a great relationship with all the Everton fans for obvious reasons. But what about your time up in Newcastle? Does that game and that winner at Goodison in the FA Cup spring out more than anything up there?
Yeah, without doubt. I knew when I went. I think the reason I went to Newcastle was just for cover, and I knew I just wanted to get out of Leeds United at the end of the day because of the way I was being treated. But I think Alan Shearer got injured. I think he had a bad injury against Everton in the pre-season. And Newcastle were in the Champions League. And Kenny signed me up. He said, I want you to sign it as cover because of Champions League, the experience and everything. And yeah, I'd love to, but then George Graham started having an argument with me saying, no, we want money. I went on free transfer. I think George wanted 250 grand for me. It's a long story. So Kenny got me up. Kenny says, come up on trial. He said, and just see, because they were saying that we weren't fit. But we were most probably fitter than anyone because we were training every day with the kids. So I went to Kenny. I went up to Newcastle, and after one day, Kenny said, "No, I'm going to sign you for a year." And basically, I signed for a year, and it is amazing. When I think Barnsley was there as well, and Stuart Pearce. It was like Dad's army up there, like so. We're there, but we were great, and Kenny was brilliant again. He knew how to get the best out the experienced one. But that game you're talking there against the FA Cup against Everton, I'll never forget because that was on a Sunday. And on a Saturday, Liverpool were playing in the FA Cup and Coventry beat them. So I've still got Liverpool at heart. I'm thinking, oh God, Everton playing. So I was on the bench, and it was on Sunday. It was freezing cold. And remember, Kenny said, "Go and get warmed up." And I got warmed up. I got absolutely hammered on the warm up. Like the Everton supporters were caning me, but. I loved it even more. I couldn't wait to get on. I said, well, I hope I get on here now. The more they do now. And I think they brought off Asprilla because it was a bit too cold for Tino, I think, that day. So with about 20 minutes to go, and you could see the Everton fan. I knew I was going to score. To tell you the truth, I knew. It's like when as you know, Rob, some teams you go out knowing you're going to score. When sometimes where you're thinking you're going to score, but against Everton, Liverpool, even from Newcastle, I went out there knowing I was going to score. And I managed to score a tap-in, so we beat them 1-0. So that was something very, very special at Newcastle.
What were the Geordies like, Ian? Because I've got a lot of Newcastle mates who tell me massive club, underachieved for too many years. Mike Ashley needs to go. We need Rafa back. We need Pochettino when he was out of a job. Did they take to you? Did you have a good time up there? With them?
Yeah, I had a great time. I think all they won, and maybe on my debut, I think it was Aston Villa. I played, and Kenny took me off about 10 minutes ago, and I got a standing ovation. They're like Liverpool fans in a way, where as long as you're given 100%, that's all they want. They are passionate about the football, but if you're not given 100%, like everyone else, you should have a go. But if you're given 100%, it's not a problem. And I really did. I can actually say. I actually played in the Champions League for Newcastle. People say Liverpool, it was a European Cup then. I actually played in the Champions League against PSV Eindhoven. So at least I can say more like, football didn't start in 1992 when the Premier League came, but the Champions League, I'm proud to say I played in the Champions League and would say it's for Newcastle. So I'm happy for that.
Brilliant.
That's
Tosh, go back to obviously your Liverpool days and. Look, you just mentioned all your goals against Everton. So there's lots of games that we remember you scoring goals against Everton. And obviously you're big mates with Kevin Ratcliffe as well.
Yeah.
He must have hated you, by the way.
And so did Neville Southall.
What was it? I bet you used to drive to when you went away with Wales, or what was the conversations with Big Nev and Ratters? What were he?
Well, Nev didn't say a word anyway. Nev was right. He's always himself to himself. Nev was, but yeah, I live by Rats as well. I've got some loads of stories of when we're in the car together and all that. Myself and Rats, but he's. I think they relied. But the problem why Everton, they played their eye line for some reason, and I don't know why they played the eye line against us because I was quick. I know Rats was quick, but I was clever. I used to go and mark Burrows, the fullback. I think Brian Burrows, because he couldn't run. So, and Kenny just put the ball in the space, and I just run to it. And you always see Rats about 2 yards behind me because I position myself where if it's a race between me and Rats, it could be 50-50. But against Burrows or against John Bailey, I was always going to win. So I positioned myself to get in that, to do that. And Rats. Then I remember once Rats said to me. He kept on kicking me after the first 5-10 minutes. Rats just booted me. So I went in the car once and said, "Why did you do that, Rats?" He said, "Because the referee said, will not book you in the first 10 minutes, believe me," he said. So I told me, he said, "No, just tell him I'm warming up." So next time we played, before kick-off, I went to the referee, said, "Ref, you can book someone in the first 5-10 minutes and all that." So I learned. So Rat's done that, and Rat's got booked. So I said, "See, now you shouldn't have told me that, Rat."
What is your best memory of playing in a Merseyside derby? Would it be the Rush scored 5? I bet you sing along to that as well in the Kop, don't you? Hey,
I just say all you need is Rush.
Yeah. So is it that? I mean, tell us about that, and also tell us about the obviously the cup finals as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you about the 5-0 game when I scored 4. That was quite funny because at the time, Rats will love this as well, by the way, because at the time. We were both living in Wales, and I got banned for speeding. I had a 6-month driving ban because I had totted up points, so I had a 6-month ban. So Rats used to drop me off at the thing every day. But the day of this game, Rats wasn't playing. Rats was injured, I think, in that game. So I remember I scored the 4 goals, and Rats was giving me a lift home back to Wales after the game. So we're in the dressing room. I've got the match ball under my arm. And Rat was there. So we had a drink, and he said, "Come on, we'll go back now." So when we're coming out the dressing room to Rat's car's about 300 yards, and we're walking down there. After about 100 yards, I see about 5 or 6 Evertonians coming to me. I said, "Oh God, I thought they were going to rob the ball or something like that from me." They never said a word to me. They never said a word. They absolutely hammered Rats. He said, "What are you doing, letting him?" And Rat said, "I wasn't even playing." And Rat he said, "That's it now." He said, "You're not having a lift home from this. That's it. You can get your own way in now." But, that was something that Rat reminds me of as well. So that was quite funny. But yeah, and going for my favourite one really I know it's good. My favourite one was the FA Cup final 1986. That for me was something special because when I was a kid, I used to watch the FA Cup final, and then it used to be on 9 o'clock in the morning. You watch it up till 3 o'clock. You watch a game, and 5 o'clock I would go out in my backyard pretending I was that person who scored the winning goal in the FA Cup final. Kids today, it's obviously Champions League, isn't it? Because the FA Cup, but in them days, the FA Cup was a big thing. It used to be on 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, and it was something special. And I signed for Liverpool. I'd won the European Cup, I'd won the League, I'd won the League Cup, I won everything but the FA Cup. And my dream as a kid was to score the winning goal in the FA Cup final. And 1986, my dream came true. Losing 1-0, Lineker scores, and to turn it around, to score 2 goals, and Liverpool not just won the FA Cup, but they won the double as well. They won the league the week before against Everton. And to score 2 goals in the 1986 FA Cup final was a dream come true. And that's something when I say to kids now, when you're coaching them all that, I said, have a dream, believe in your dream and work hard at your dream, and your dreams can come true. It may not be football, it may be something else. But like I say, my dream came true in 1986 FA Cup final, and it's something I'll never forget.
That's lovely. That's a great memory, that. And again, we take it full circle now. I mean, how do you assess? Rob's assessed it many times for me, where this current Liverpool team is at. Give me a quick word on Jurgen Klopp, Ian, because we've had him on this podcast. Robbie is quite rightly a fanboy of Jurgen. Who isn't, that's associated to Liverpool, given what he's done at that football club? How much a kind of appreciation do you have for him?
Oh, he's unbelievable. I know him quite well, and as Rob knows, sometimes when we go on pre-season tour, we see him and we talk. I've been to the old Melbourne and the new training ground. He always makes you feel welcome. That's what it's all about. And even though you can't, since the COVID, he always had a smile on his face, and before COVID, he'd give you a big hug. So all you wanted to do then is go and give someone a big hug. You didn't know he used to go with that because he's that infectious. he's absolutely amazing when he that smile on his face and all that. He's always enthusiastic. But people tend to forget, tactically, he's very good as well. People like that. But tactically, he is very, very good. And for me, I think with this COVID going on, I think it's affected Liverpool more than anyone because we're having no crowd there. And it's different. Like, you talk about Liverpool fans being the 12th man. I believe that. I think they are the 12th man, and I think maybe it's affecting Liverpool that having no fans there. And I know mentally you've got to get yourself prepared and everything, but I think it does help because I've been there. I was there at the start of the season, all that, when there's no crowd there. And it is a bit weird watching games. It is like watching a training game. And you've got to keep him going, but I think he's doing a tremendous job. He's just been unlucky with injuries, and I think that'll soon get out of the way. But I think last year when they broke all them records, to break any records of Liverpool, you have to be something special. And that team were breaking all sorts of records. And say, can you compare them with the team in the 80s? You have to, because they broke records. And I thought they were absolutely fantastic. And this year I think they've been unlucky simply because of injuries.
Tosh, you just said there, obviously, team of the 80s, so, I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong here, and this is obviously my opinion, but
yeah.
You played in some unbelievable sides, right, and this is like a great argument for many a Liverpool fan out there. I think the team last year and the team that Jurgen's assembled has probably been Liverpool's greatest ever team. They might not have the greatest players, but in terms of the greatest team and what they've achieved, and the Champions League the year before, then the year after, breaking all the records, as you said, with the Premier League, for me, they were unbelievable. Now, you might not like that because obviously the team that you played with, but what's your take on that?
Well, like I said, they're breaking records. Of course they are. They have to be up there. That's why people saying, they weren't as good. I think what we got taught at Liverpool, the easiest thing is winning a league. The most difficult one is retaining it.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And in the 80s, we were doing that. But this team last year, they were breaking all records that we had. So they have to be up there again with the best, and that's what it's all about. The records are there; they don't lie. So they have to be right up there with the best.
Are you worried at all? And I've not asked you this, Rob. I don't think I have anyway, in all the weeks that we've been having a chat. Are either of you worried that he goes at the end of this season?
I'm not worried, no. I think he's obviously got a little bit of planning to do. I think people are talking about a rebuild, which is far from the mark. I think there's probably need a few little readjustments, and I think he is the man to do that. I think he's proven in the past he can change teams. He's changed Liverpool, the mentality, the ethos, and everything is obviously almost perfection. But yeah, I think it's a few little twitches here and there, and Liverpool are back where they deserve to be.
You kind of side with that, Ian? You think he will be around next season, Jurgen?
Well, hopefully he is. I think it's like everyone. No one knows what's going to go on, but I think he's a great manager. And as Robbie said there, there's a few little things to do that. But I think the problem that they may have had this season is because they haven't had a proper break. And with COVID, people have had COVID, and there's long COVID as well. So they may be a little bit tired. That's what's happening. But at the end of the day, I think get the season out of the way, and hopefully they can have a good run in the Champions League, and they can. I still think they will make the top four. So and let's regroup then. What is needed at the end of the season? If we can do that, let's regroup and get everyone fit. And I'm sure they'll be right up there again next year. Well,
Tosh, you need to get in the top four because Chris, you might have gathered this, by the way. He's a big Man United fan, and we have a little bet. So I've got Liverpool to finish higher than them, and if not, there's going to be some sort of forfeit. So please God, let us finish above them.
I'm sure we will.
You think you are pretty confident, Ian, that Liverpool, because if they don't finish top four, it's not catastrophic. Of course it isn't. Clubs will come again, but you're still confident they will finish top four?
Yeah, I'm confident. Even when they're losing games, I think they lost 3 on run at home. That's maybe because the crowd not there, but. Yeah, I'm confident. They haven't played bad, So I think there's only one game where I thought, they didn't deserve, but Liverpool played pretty well. And I still think if they can keep on doing the same sort of stuff they're doing, I'm quite confident that they're in the top four.
Now, I don't want to embarrass you here, Rob, but I've said it before as well. Football obsessive as you are, we've been swapping WhatsApps. Of course, the time difference to Dubai, another time difference on to India. You watch all football at all hours of the day, does Robbie Fowler. You don't miss a Liverpool game. Are you the same, Ian? You don't miss a Liverpool game?
No, if Liverpool's on, I'm not. Maybe not like Robbie, watch all the games, but I'm one of them. If Liverpool are on, I'll be watching them. They're on tonight, aren't they? I think it's 11:45 in Dubai time. So, I'll watch all Liverpool's game because obviously you become a fan anyway. On that, so I'm just like a normal fan. I want to see Liverpool play and want to see Liverpool play well.
Come on, boys, come on! Both boyhood Everton fans. One eye on an Everton result as well.
Hey, listen. When you get 40,000 given your stick, you tend to dislike them pretty quick.
Yeah, touche, Robert. Touche on that front. Listen, I'm conscious of time. Rushy, again, when you look back on it all, I guess what's the achievement? You've already talked about scoring an FA Cup, winning goals, for goodness sake, but when you look back on all that you've achieved in your career and obviously being a mentor to players like Rob, what's the kind of one memory that stands out above all else?
Well, I think I look back now and I can say this now because people say to me, were you a great player? And I'll say, yeah. Because I'm bringing the Italian out of me because I don't have to do it anymore. You know, it's one of them where you can look back, and I look back at the goals I've scored and everything, and I'm proud. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of my family. I think, I can sit by. I say I played for Liverpool, and the most thing I look about, I am Liverpool's record goal scorer. And that'll be most probably in my lifetime. Most probably won't be broken, but
that will never. Tosh, that will never be beat. Don't you worry about that.
And I look at now when I talk about you there, Rob, as well, where I think you scored 183 goals and all that, and I genuinely believe, I'm telling this genuine now, that I think talk about me, it's not just scoring the goals. I had to stay fit. I very rarely got injured, and I think, and like your case, you most probably a bit unlucky. You had a couple of injuries where I genuinely believe that if you'd played like me in 15 years. You would most probably be the closest, if not, maybe beat my record. And I genuinely believe that because he was such a natural goal scorer. And you'll say again, injuries play a major part of it. And I think if you hadn't got them injuries, you'd have been right up there, if not me. So from that point of view, I just like to see genuine goal scorers. I know I was one. I know you were one. So so I'm just so proud to be Liverpool's record goal scorer.
So Tosh, to use your ethos, what you said before, right, you've got to tell everyone that you're better than everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Hey, if I didn't have any injuries and played a load more games, I'd have well beat you.
That's why I kept kicking you in training.
I know, Tosh. Obviously, before you go on, a little bit of a change. I've got 3 more questions, and then I'll just absolutely leave you. Well, it's actually 1 question, but it'll maybe 3 answers you can give us. But in terms of what you've achieved, and you've won everything in a game, but you've been involved in, probably 2 of the worst games in the club's history, actually, in terms of results. One being the 89 game against Arsenal, and one being the 96 FA Cup final. Right?
Yeah.
What is worse, or can there be a worse one?
Which one's worse, you mean?
Yeah. Do you like forget about them, or it's hard to forget about them because of what they are?
No, you can't forget about them. I think going back to the one in
89.
Go back to on there because that season I had a few injuries. I had an illness when I come back from Juventus, and I wasn't up to date. And I said to Kenny, I don't feel right. I didn't feel I was moving quick enough or anything. So Kenny put me on the bench, and I think at the end of that season, I say, come on, in the 89 Cup final, scored 2 goals. Then we played West Ham on a Tuesday. I think we won 4 or 5-0. I scored in that. And went on Friday, we were playing Arsenal. And again, because we beat West Ham by 4 or 5, that meant Arsenal had to score 2 to beat us. And I remember after 20 minutes, I went off injured. I'd done my groin. And I'm just sitting there watching the game in the dugout. I went to the dugout watching it, and with about 1 minute to go, I took my tracksuit top off. And I remember Barry Venison said, he went, Tosh, don't do that. I said, why? He said, Barry Venison, I'd done that at the cup final, right? He said, and Everton scored in the last minute. I went, that's not going to happen again. Next thing, Michael Thomas goes and scores. So you're thinking, it's absolutely, it was that would be me, was the worst one, because I started the game, I was watching it, and I thought we'd won. In 96 was a bit different, because I knew it was my last game for Liverpool, and I thought, if I do get on, that means we're losing. And that's what I thought. And in a way, I hope I don't get on, because if we're winning, obviously you and Stan started the game, and to come on to try and win a game with maybe 20, 30 minutes to go, and Cantona scores that goal. It was I knew then it didn't sink in really, because I was thinking about going up to Leeds United. A new era for me, going to Leeds United, but when you finish playing football, you look back and say, no, that was a bit to play my last game and lose to Manchester United. It was amazing. And I'll just say one thing about Manchester United. That when we talk about Everton, I went out knowing I was going to score against Everton. When I played against Manchester United, I went out thinking I was going to score. I think it's about 17 or 18 games before I scored against Manchester United. And I remember once you put one on the plate for me and I missed it. And I think you looked at me to say, "Are you serious? Are you going to miss that?" And then I remember next time when you actually scored, I said 1 or 2 in the game, and I said, "What?" He said, "Well, I'd give you one chance. You're not having another. I'll do it myself." I went, "Fair enough. As long as you score, I don't mind." But
Tosh, you said yourself earlier on, tell them once, tell them again, have to tell them more.
17 times against Manchester United for me.
Can I ask Ian, we talked about it last week on the podcast, the suit, we spoke to Scholesy about it, the famous white suits, the Spice Boy suits. Please tell me you've still got yours.
I most probably have. I still wear it.
Yes. I was going to say that. Beat me to it. That's a shock. Beat me to it again. It's quicker than me again.
No, I looked at some games. I've seen a couple of pictures of myself in Giggsy. And I think at the time, I'm not going to take the blame for that anyway. I know because I have to blame someone like Razor or JMO or something. Robbie, you know more because I was more concerned about that. And Barnsley was captain then.
I always thought it was JMO, to be honest, because obviously his model exploits whatever with Armani. But I actually don't really know.
I think Razor as well. I think when he had something to do with it.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I told Scholesy last week. People thought we were a band when we walked on the
pitch. Brilliant.
Well, listen, lads. Rob, you got another one?
Yeah, just one more. So obviously, just the last question, Tosh, if you don't mind. Who was the single most biggest influence on your career?
My dad was great. My dad was one of them people where if I scored 2, he said I should have scored 3. If I scored 3, I should have scored. He was never anything sort of positive to me and all that. And he wanted me to. But I remember once he wasn't know I was listening. And he's talking to his friends and all that, and he's saying how so proud he was of me, to do that and everything. He was saying, he's something special and everything, but he never told me to my face. He always wanted me to work hard. So I think my dad, from that point of view, and looking, there was one when I was at Chester. God bless him, Cliff Sayre. He was a youth team coach. He gave me the chance again to Chester first team when I was 16 years old, and people like that. And then you go to the best manager I've had. Would be Bob Paisley, and then you go. The best player I played with was Kenny Dalglish. So I'm blessed to learn from all these people. But at the end of the day, it's my dad for it, because my dad didn't drive then. He used to take me on the bus when I was 13, 14 to Chester and wait for him to get the bus back and everything. So what he put into it. There's something there to say. Thanks so much, and I'd have to be down to my dad.
Can't argue with that.
That's great. That is you can't argue with that at all. It's been a real pleasure is what it has, Ian. I know obviously you're a busy man and for taking some time out to grace us with your presence for episode 8 of the Robbie Fowler Podcast. It's been illuminating is what it has. Rob, I know you've got a flight to catch. You're flying back to Blighty. Are you even going to be around for episode 9 next week?
Well, yeah, but probably in a bit of a cooler climate.
And you'll be quarantining. You'll be making sure that you do all the social distancing, of course. As well.
Yeah,
next week.
I'll have to self-isolate. So I've got 10 days of self-isolation. I mean, I've got a few things that I can get up to.
More chance of you as well to flick through that contact book and get more names like Ian Rush, MBE. Yeah.
Brilliant. What an absolute, I'm going to say guest, but what an absolute man he is, isn't he? I know he's still here, but he's superb, isn't he?
Top. He's absolutely top is what he is. Ian, bless you, my man. Thank you for joining us on the Robbie Fowler Podcast. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Best of luck with your exploits and your endeavours. I know Dubai is a home away from home for you. Exciting times. Enjoy that gold visa as well. And if you can pass on the contacts to me and Robbie, that would be greatly appreciated as well.
No, it's great. It's great to come on and talk. Myself and Robbie, great mates and all that. But anything for Robbie Fowler, I'm available.
Good man, Tosh. Perfecto.
Ciao.
Cheers, Ian.
Ciao.
Ciao domani. Hey.
Ciao bella.
Hey, I forgot. Hey, I have to tell you what my mate came over to when I was in Italy. Like, no, Robbie knows and no Phil.
Yeah.
Phil, he came over to Italy, so he's a week with us and all that. So the last night, I said, "Come on, Phil." I said, "Have you learned any Italian?" And he looked at me and he turned to me and went, "Yeah." I said, "Tell me." He went, "Hey." Oh, forget about it.
Hey, forget about it.
That will definitely make the cut of this podcast as well. So if he's watching this, he's got a mention on it as well. Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Well, you know what? You'll have to use it from the Zoom recording because I've just stopped recording on the thing.
It's all right, Rob. Don't you worry. We'll get it in.